Some car crashes leave more questions than answers. The investigations end, the reports are filed, but the truth? It stays buried. Today, we're looking at some of the most mysterious car crashes in history that were never fully solved. Cases where the official story just doesn't add up. Princess Diana's crash in Paris, 1997. On August 31st, 1997, Princess Diana died in a car crash inside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. The official conclusion was that the driver, Henri Paul, was drunk and driving at high speed to escape the paparazzi. But millions of people around the world never accepted that explanation. What makes this case so hard to let go of is the sheer number of unanswered questions. Henri Paul's blood samples showed a high alcohol level, but his colleagues said he showed no signs of being drunk that night, as security cameras around the tunnel were mysteriously not working. The CCTV footage from the area was largely unavailable. A white Fiat Uno was seen making contact with the Mercedes just before the crash, but that car and its driver were never officially identified. Former MI6 operative Richard Tomlinson claimed that the way the crash happened mirrored a method used by intelligence agencies. Mohammed Al-Fayed, father of Dodi Fayed, who also died in the crash, spent years insisting it was a planned murder. A French investigation in 2004 and a British inquest in 2008 both concluded it was an accident, but the doubts never went away. Something about this crash has always felt incomplete. Mike Halewood's crash. 1981, Mike Halewood was one of the greatest motorcycle racers in history. In March 1981, he was driving near his home in Birmingham, but England, when a truck made an illegal U-turn and hit his car. His 9-year-old daughter Michelle was killed instantly. Mike died 2 days later in the hospital. At first glance, this seems like a straightforward road accident caused by a careless driver. The truck driver was convicted of careless driving and fined a small amount, which many people felt was far too light a punishment for causing 2 deaths. What troubled many was how little investigation went into the case. The truck driver's background, the exact sequence of events, and whether there was any negligence beyond the illegal turn were never deeply examined. For a man of Halewood's status and fame, the case was closed with very little public scrutiny. No one truly understands how the crash happened down to every detail. Why and the justice delivered felt far too thin for what was lost that day. Michael A. Hastings' fatal crash, 2013. Journalist Michael Hastings was known for his fearless reporting. His article in Rolling Stone magazine had brought down a U.S. Army general. In June 2013, his car crashed into a tree in Los Angeles at very high speed and burst into flames. The official conclusion was that it was an accident caused by speeding, but here's where things get strange. Just hours before the crash, Hastings had reportedly told friends he believed he was being watched by the FBI and that he feared for his life. He was said to be working on a major news story. Security footage showed his car accelerating rapidly before the crash, a car that was a newer model with electronic systems. The former counterterrorism expert Richard Clarke publicly stated that the crash was consistent with what a vehicle cyber attack would look like. The car's engine was found some distance behind the main crash site, which experts said was unusual. The FBI confirmed they had a file on Hastings. No full independent investigation was ever conducted. The case was closed quickly, and the details that didn't fit were never explained. Isadora Duncan's driver, 1929. Most people know the story of Isadora Duncan, the famous dancer who died when her scarf got caught in the wheel of a car. But fewer people talk about what happened to her driver shortly after. The driver of the vehicle, a man named Benoit Falchetto, was a relatively unknown figure, and little information about his life after the incident has ever been confirmed. There were reports of witnesses who claimed the sequence of events didn't match the official account, and that the scarf getting caught was only part of the story. Some historians have suggested that the speed of the vehicle and the exact mechanical failure involved were never properly examined. The case was treated as a dramatic accident from the start, which meant deep forensic investigation was never really on the table. Over the decades, small contradictions in witness accounts have surfaced but were never resolved. The tragedy of Duncan's death overshadowed any serious push to understand exactly what happened and whether it truly could have been prevented or was something more deliberate. Mark Bolan's death, 1977. Mark Bolan was the lead singer of T-Rex, one of the biggest rock bands of the 1970s. On September 16, 1977, on just 2 weeks before his 30th birthday, he died when the car he was in hit a tree in Barnes, London. His girlfriend Gloria Jones was driving. She survived but was seriously injured. Officially, it was ruled an accident. Gloria had no valid UK driving license at the time, and the car left the road and struck a steel-reinforced fence post near a tree. But many fans and investigators have pointed to inconsistencies over the years. The road where the crash happened was not particularly dangerous or sharp. The speed of the vehicle, the exact conditions of the road that night, and what may have distracted the driver were never conclusively established. There were also questions about whether the car had any mechanical issues that night. No other vehicles were involved, no skid marks were clearly documented, and then the full picture of those final seconds was never fully reconstructed. To many, the crash remains a painful mystery wrapped in the sadness of a life cut way too short. The crash that killed General Patton, 1945. General George S. Patton was one of the most powerful and controversial American generals of World War II. On December 9, 1945, just months after the war ended, he was involved in a low-speed car collision near Mannheim, Germany. The crash itself was minor. No one else was seriously hurt, but Patton broke his neck and was paralyzed. He died in his sleep 12 days later. What makes this case deeply suspicious is the timing and the man involved. Patton had been very vocal about his belief that the Allies should have pushed further into Soviet territory and was openly critical of decisions being made at the highest levels. Some accounts suggest he was planning to return to the US and speak out publicly. The driver of the truck that hit his car, a man named Robert Thompson, was never conclusively identified in some records. A man named Douglas Bazata later claimed in 1979 that he had been paid to arrange an accident to silence Patton, and that the original crash was meant to be fatal. Whether Bazata was telling the truth was never proven. No full investigation was ever reopened. The crash, the death, and the questions remain one of the most compelling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. These crashes share one thing in common. They all ended with more questions than answers. Whether it's powerful people, missing evidence, or investigations that were closed far too quickly. Something about each of these cases has kept people talking for decades. The roads these people traveled on that night became the last chapter of their stories, and in each case, we still don't know exactly how that chapter was written. If you found this video interesting, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.